Someone earning $250,000 a year can be less wealthy than someone earning $70,000. That sounds wrong. It might even feel unfair. But once you understand how wealth actually works, not income, not salary, not the number on your paycheck, you start to see why so many high earners feel financially stuck. There are 4 distinct levels of wealth. Most people misidentify which level they're on, and that misidentification is exactly what keeps them there. Here's what most people assume. You earn more, you become wealthier, it's linear. Get the promotion, land the better job, grow the business, and wealth follows. On the surface, the math supports it. Someone earning $150,000 has more money coming in than someone earning $50,000. That's obvious. But wealth isn't what comes in. Wealth is what stays. And more importantly, it's what compounds. In countries like the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, the cost of living has risen significantly over the past 2 decades. Housing, childcare, healthcare, education. These aren't luxuries, they're structural costs, and they scale. As your income rises, so does the environment around you. The neighborhood changes, the school changes, the car changes. Not because you're reckless, but because the social and economic infrastructure around higher income brackets carries higher costs. So the assumption that more income equals more wealth, it holds up only if your cost structure doesn't rise with it. And for most people it does. Let's break this into 4 levels. These aren't official financial categories. They're structural frames, ways to understand where your money actually sits in relation to your life. At this level, income covers basic needs, and not always fully. There's little to no savings buffer. One unexpected expense creates a financial crisis. Generally speaking, a significant portion of working adults in developed economies operate at or near this level, even some earning above median income. It's not always about how much you earn, it's about how thin the margin is. Here, income consistently covers expenses. There's a buffer, maybe 3 to 6 months of savings. Debt is manageable or declining. There's breathing room, but not momentum. Most people at this level feel okay, but not secure. They're not worried about next month, they're worried about next decade, retirement. A market shift, a layoff. Stability is better than survival, but it's still fundamentally dependent on one thing: the paycheck continuing. This is where it gets interesting, and this is where most high earners get stuck. At level 3, income is strong. In many developed economies, this could mean household earnings well above $150,000, sometimes $200,000 or $300,000. Lifestyle is comfortable, maybe very comfortable. Travel, dining, a well-furnished home, good schools for the kids. But here's the structural problem. At level 3, nearly all wealth is tied to active income. Stop working and within 12 to 24 months the lifestyle becomes unsustainable. There may be retirement accounts, perhaps some equity in a home, but liquid income-generating assets? Minimal. This is the level where people look wealthy from the outside but feel fragile on the inside. And that gap between perception and reality is where the frustration lives. The math is straightforward. Take a household earning $250,000. After taxes, which in many jurisdictions could take roughly 30 to 40% depending on structure and location, you're left with perhaps $150,000 to $170,000. Now subtract housing, transportation, insurance, childcare, food, and the general cost of living at that income tier. What's left to actually build with? Often far less than you'd think. That's not poor planning, that's the structural trap of level 3. This is the level most people believe they're chasing, but few define correctly. Freedom isn't a number, it's a ratio. It's the point where income from assets, not from your time, covers your cost of living. It doesn't necessarily require millions, though it often involves significant accumulation over time. What it requires is a shift in how money is deployed, not spent, not simply saved. Deployed into things that generate returns without requiring your daily presence. The difference between level 3 and level 4 isn't income, it's asset ownership. And that's the distinction most people miss entirely. So why do high earners get stuck at level 3? It's not a math problem, it's a framing problem. When your income rises, there's a psychological shift. You feel like you've arrived. The signals are everywhere: your peers, your lifestyle, your title. Those signals create a sense of security, but that security is conditional. It depends on you continuing to produce at the same level, in the same role, in the same economy. There's also something subtler happening. At level 3, the cost of change feels enormous. You built a life around a certain income. Pivoting, whether that means investing differently, reducing lifestyle costs, or restructuring how you allocate capital, feels like going backward. And no one wants to feel like they're regressing after years of climbing. This is the paradox. The very success that brought you to level 3 becomes a psychological barrier to level 4. You're not stuck because you failed. You're stuck because you succeeded, within a framework that has a ceiling. And here's what makes it harder. Society doesn't distinguish between level 3 and level 4. A surgeon earning $400,000 and a business owner whose assets generate $120,000 passively may look similar from the outside, but structurally they're in completely different positions. One is trading time for money at a high rate. The other has separated income from effort. That's not a judgment, it's a structural observation. But only one of those positions is free. So what's the shift? It's not about earning less. It's not about living like a monk. And it's certainly not about some formula that promises wealth in 5 years. It doesn't exist. The shift is in clarity. Knowing which level you're actually on, not where you feel you should be, is the starting point. From there, the question changes. It stops being how do I earn more and becomes how do I convert what I earn into something that works without me. That's a fundamentally different question, and it leads to fundamentally different decisions. Generally speaking, people who make this transition tend to share a few traits. They think in terms of assets, not income. They measure wealth by what they own, not what they earn. And they accept that the move from level 3 to level 4 is often slower than the climb from level 1 to level 3, but far more durable. It's not exciting, it won't make a good headline, but it's how lasting wealth is actually built across most developed economies. Most people spend their entire careers trying to earn more. Fewer stop to ask whether their structure is designed to keep any of it. The levels aren't about judgment. They're about seeing clearly where you stand, so you can make honest decisions about where you're going. If this kind of thinking resonates with you, there's more to explore on this channel. We look at the structural side of wealth, not the headlines, not the hype, just the architecture behind how money actually works.